Welcome to Workplace Psychology with Dr. Martha Grajdek. I'm Dr. Martha Grajdek. This podcast examines a wide variety of work-related issues through the lens of industrial and organizational psychology. And while many of the topics discussed here may be seen as intended for white-collar employees and their employers, in reality, the ideas presented here are applicable across organizations and industries. Additionally, many of the topics discussed here may be applicable outside of the workplace. I encourage you to examine what's presented here, apply what makes sense to you, and simply discard the rest. Knowledge within an organization is absolutely critical. It may be considered the organization's lifeline. There are plenty of good reasons to keep and protect knowledge, but the reality is that sometimes knowledge that may appear to have been lost isn't really lost at all. Instead, it is kept secret or kept hidden. Why would knowledge be withheld within an organization, within the workplace? There are many reasons for this. Let's start with the psychological reasoning for why knowledge would be hidden or withheld. For one, keeping knowledge or withholding knowledge may be perceived as a way of protecting one's job, one's status, or one's importance or relevance within the workforce and the organization. It could be related to a simple but very real fear of replacement. Sometimes people withhold knowledge as an attempt of regaining a sense of fairness within the organization, and this may be a real issue or a perceived one. But if a person feels that withholding knowledge is the only way that they will level out the playing field, they may do exactly that. Let's look at the diagnostic part of this knowledge keeping or knowledge hiding. Where or how could it show up? One of the biggest places where withholding information or withholding knowledge can be noticed or can show up is when we take a look at handoffs. Handoffs may be incomplete, or they may appear to be unclear or flat out secretive. Withheld information or hidden information or secret information can also be identified or determined through things such as comments, conversations, and other behaviors. Sometimes it can show up in client context. It may be something that customers may notice or clients may notice first, or it may be most noticeable during interactions with customers or clients. If procedures or practices seem like they need to be revised, if they need some kind of rework, or if you're able to identify a single point of failure, this may be a good indicator of knowledge being withheld. What can be done to address the withholding or keeping secret of knowledge and information, especially on a system-wide basis? For one, regular review and assessment of policies and procedures can make a tremendous difference. Open conversations during any time of the fiscal year, but also including during performance reviews, can be very important and helpful. Acknowledging contributions during reviews or during these open conversations is key. Not only do we want to acknowledge individuals' contributions to the organization and its collective efforts, but we also want to take that opportunity to identify how exactly the individual is contributing so that hidden knowledge or secret knowledge doesn't stay hidden. Having regular sessions, something that may be called Ask Me Anything session or Ask Me Anything hour, for example, is a good idea. Whether this is a conversation between two people, a small group of people, or a larger group, this is where knowledge and information that may otherwise be hidden or kept secret can be identified and, in some sense, flushed out. Making sure that procedures are well documented and well organized, as well as updated and revised as necessary, is very important. If knowledge is not written down, if information and procedures are not written down, but rather are allowed to reside in the mind of one person or in the minds of a handful of people, that knowledge can erode, it can leave with the individual, and it can otherwise be lost. Leadership has a tremendous responsibility and opportunity when it comes to making sure that knowledge and information is out in the open as much as possible, is documented, is well understood, and is not likely to be kept secret or to simply leave when an employee leaves the organization. Rewarding people for teaching others what they do and how they do it is important. Putting things down in writing is another critical practice. Once something is written down, it should be reviewed, assessed, and revised on a regular basis. Procedures change as they need to change. Procedures change as information changes and as knowledge is gained. So writing something down once is a good beginning, but by no means is that all that it takes. In many cases, showcase demos may be appropriate to make sure that knowledge and information is shared with others within the organization. It gives everyone an opportunity to either learn something new or to refresh what they've heard before. When it comes to projects and ideas, it's important to keep track of open drafts, works in progress, and keep comparing them to finished projects or finished products. It's not difficult to start seeing a pattern here. It's the importance of moving information, of keeping the knowledge fresh and alive, keeping it at the surface that's important here. When things are allowed to stagnate, when silence is the way of doing things, that's when information can get lost, can become secret, or can be purposefully hidden in any other way. But as much effort as an organization can put into keeping the information fresh and updated and at the surface, it's also important that those who have this knowledge, those who hold this information and understand it, have every reason to feel secure in sharing it, in keeping it up to date, and keeping it available to others within the organization. Remember what I mentioned at the beginning of this episode. Oftentimes, keeping information or knowledge secret or hidden is sometimes driven by the fear of being replaced, or out of a need or desire to protect one's status or importance or relevance. An organization absolutely has to cover those things before it can address the systems that will then allow the knowledge and information to be current and available. You cannot expect or force people to share things, knowledge, information, experience, if they don't feel safe by doing so. So the organization and its leadership has the absolute responsibility of providing that safe space for its employees. A good practice to explore may be a 4-week experiment, a knowledge opener experiment, if you will, where the organization actively focuses on identifying, recording, and reviewing knowledge that may otherwise be hidden or withheld. This is an exercise that can take as little as 4 weeks, but produce tremendous results. This is where laying the groundwork, doing the basics to provide the kind of environment that allows people to feel secure in sharing knowledge and not otherwise withholding it. Open communications, feedback, and conversations should follow as a way of identifying and making visible all the knowledge and information that may otherwise be in danger of being lost or kept secret. Why not try this 4-week experiment and see where you were as an organization before you begin and at the end of it? You may be surprised how much you're able to uncover. Beyond that, you may also be pleasantly surprised in a positive change in your organization's environment, as long as you as the employer do the work to provide the right environment. As this episode comes to an end, let's review what was discussed. It's not uncommon that knowledge within organizations is sometimes purposefully withheld. This may happen because of fear of being replaced or because of an attempt to protect one's status or relevance within the company. It's up to the organization to identify where such hang-ups might exist. Review things such as procedures, processes, and handoffs. Engage in open and honest communications with your employees. Sometimes your customers may be a good source of information of what's going on within your own company, so remember that. Start with the foundation of creating the kind of environment where the fear of being replaced or losing one's importance or relevance within the company is minimized or eliminated altogether. From there, work on the organization's systems. Identify what systems, what procedures exist, and how well they work. Revise and change as necessary. Leaders have a tremendous opportunity to contribute by not only leading by example, but also creating the kind of environment and the kind of workplace experience that inspires employees to readily share knowledge and information rather than to hide or hoard it. Try a 4-week knowledge opener experiment, where you start by creating the right environment and follow by seeking all the knowledge, information, and experience that may be hidden or difficult to access. Work on bringing this information to the surface. Make sure it's current and relevant and also available. As this week unfolds, I invite you to consider knowledge within your own organization, whether you are a business owner or an employee, whether you are in a role of management or leadership or not. Chances are you have knowledge that may not be obvious and available to everyone. This is a good time to consider what you know and what you're doing with that knowledge, experience, and information. Start a conversation that promotes a more open and fluid exchange of knowledge and information within the organization. And remember, regardless of your position within a company, you, along with every other individual, has an opportunity to contribute and to do so to either create the kind of environment and workplace experience that you want or to create one that you would rather avoid. The choice is yours. For those of you who experience this podcast in an audio-only version, I invite you to check out my YouTube channel, Stress Free with Dr. G, where you can find the video version of the podcast. Once you're there, check out some of the other videos. They focus on stress management. Stress Free with Dr. G is available on YouTube, and the link for that is in the description below. Thank you for joining me today. Please subscribe to my podcast. I look forward to seeing you here again next time. Until then, I wish you joy and well-being.